Andrew Neil suggested the UK's Brexit bargaining position would weaken if the country asked the EU for an extension. The BBC presenter added that it is the EU who will hold the cards in the negotiation and how long an extension is granted for. Mr. Neil said, "I think revoking is pretty unlikely, though in this climate nothing is unlikely. I should make that clear. We have very few bargaining cards to play with the EU. nowAndrew Neil, what is likely now is an extension of Article 50 beyond March 29, but that is tricky for us because as a country we are essentially supplicants in that process. We have very few bargaining cards to play with the EU. They will, in the end, determine the length and determine the purpose, or at least demand a purpose." Andrew Neil warned that the UK would suffer if Brexit is delayed and Article 50 extended. Image BBC. The BBC presenter then turned to the think tank director of the Institute for Government Bronwen Maddox. The director questioned whether Theresa May would helm the talks with the EU regarding asking for an Article 50 extension. She continued, "What I am interested in is if Theresa May tries to take a bit of control over that process and what she says after the vote, whether she comes out and tries to say, I am going to negotiate this extension on my own, and technically she can, as she doesn't need to go to Parliament for that, whether she tries to short-circuit Thursday's debate about an extension and just try and strike that with the EU." Andrew Neil, you're absolutely right, we don't have a lot of bargaining points in that Brexit negotiation. Theresa May suffered a fresh blow tonight as an amendment tabled by Tory MP Dame Caroline Spelman to reject no deal under any circumstances was passed by 312 votes to 308. The proposal, which is not legally binding, was added to the government motion put forward by the Prime Minister, which would have ruled out no deal on March 29, but kept it on the table for other times. The amended motion was voted against 321 votes to 278. Speaking after the string of votes, Mrs. May said MPs now face a fundamental choice. She said, if the House finds a way in the coming days to support a deal, it would allow the government to seek a short limited technical extension to Article 50 to provide time to pass the necessary legislation and ratify the agreement we have reached with the